Well, that's one way of doing it, said Yennefer, looking around and trying to understand where the hell she was. I'm so sorry, I don't know what happened, said Ciri. With a look of true admiration in her eyes, Yennefer brushed the blood from the girl's eyes and said, When you have power like this, never apologize. Yennefer of Vengerberg is a mage taught at the Aretuza Academy, a place for kidnapped kids with unstable potential. The opening line of her first magic class was, Chaos is the most dangerous thing in this world. And still, chaos was taught to her and to other children who wanted it enough. And from a very young age, she was taught to value it, to seek this power. Chaos might be the most dangerous thing in this world, but not having it is worse than danger. Today we're going to talk about the magic in The Witcher, but we're not going to talk about portals and fire. Instead, let's explore the psychology of wielding power. How does it feel to have it, to desire it? Do you want to create stories with incredible, beautiful, breathtaking worlds? Well, the first step towards that direction is to create many worlds, to try your hand, to practice your world building skills, and that's the whole point of this series of videos here, the World Building Tower. Together we explore lovely worlds with interesting things happening in them that exist out there in pop media, and we extract a lesson and an exercise from those worlds, so then we can create our own and practice our own skills. Folks, I seem to be in some sort of subscriber limbo. Since the beginning of January, I need like 10 or 12 subscribers to reach 4,000. Just a big deal, it's a big number. But then I get 3, I lose 2, and then I get 2, I lose 1, and I never get there. Can you please subscribe, please? I was watching the second season of The Witcher on Netflix. It's a series with really great world building, and I was looking for a lesson to bring here. Just as a side note, I haven't read the books, and I had a lot of experience with the game, but here I am just gonna talk about the series. I think there's value in comparing adaptations, but I also think there's a different kind of value that you get by analyzing the one piece on its own. Anyway, the Witcher series has a lot to offer in terms of world building, like incredible locations and interesting political alliances. But one of the things that didn't catch my attention was the magic system called Chaos. Sure, the series has a lot of cool magic spread around its world, but as a system, Chaos is not so interesting. And I still think so, but when I got to an episode called Volithmir, I noticed something around that magic system that's perhaps even more precious than the magic itself. If you look for world building advice or fantasy writing essays, you will find a lot of interesting information around magic systems. How to balance them, how to make them believable, how to use them in a way that makes the audience feel smart. Lessons that probably The Witcher would benefit from, but in one crucial aspect, this narrative excels. The emotional relationship between the magic users and the magic, especially those mages who were taught at the Aretuza Academy, it's clear, it's fascinating, and it drives the story forward. I'm not talking about the mechanics of the magic, I'm talking about the mechanics of the heart, wishes, desires, values. Let me use a particular scene to start exemplifying what I'm talking about. One that starts in this bad bit that I don't enjoy about the magic, and then turns it into the best bit of them all. We're watching some generals eat, and they're having this treacherous conversation about this mage, Fringilla, behind her back, when suddenly they all freeze up. She then walks into the room triumphantly and says, I have so much resentment for my Aretuzan training that I forget there were bright spots. Botany, for example. where else could I have learned the paralytic qualities of nightshade? Or how to mask it in a glass of mead? I don't like this dialogue. I just don't like it. I mean, this scene is so powerful, so full of punch, and I understand they had to put something there to build the tension, but I would rather have Fringilla just walk in there in silence rather than this pointless info dump. This is exactly the mechanics of the magic that I mentioned earlier. Meh? Very basic. What comes next? That works much better. Unfortunately, I can't show the imagery here because the violence is quite graphic and my video would be catapulted out of YouTube immediately. But also the text wouldn't work on its own. The actions performed are crucial to the impact of the scene. So I'm trying something new here. I'm keeping the original dialogue in white and I'm adding my own description of the actions performed in green, just so we can have a look at everything all together. Let's see if it works. My most valuable lesson, though, said Fringilla, placing the glass of mead on the table, came on my last day there, when Yennefer of Vengerberg stole the seat of Aden, to which I was entitled. As she spoke to the paralyzed man, Fringilla took a knife from the dining table and leaned next to General Hake, who couldn't do more than a muffled whimper. And that taught me, she continued, anger tainting her voice as she moved the knife closer to the man's face. Whenever a lesser light tries to steal what is yours, you do not sit there and take it. She now growled, the blade piercing the general's right eye deeply, a wet sound escaping as steel cut through brain tissue. Your power, cackled a voice that only Fringilla could hear. Seize it. You must do, she told the man sitting at the table as she slaughtered them one by one with the knives meant for pork and lamb. Whatever is required. This is not the perfect way to analyze a movie scene, but hey, bear with me. I just can't put scenes of explicit violence on YouTube. Fringilla's relationship with power is very clear. She will do anything to seize it. She will not shy away from cruelty. She will do whatever. Even more so now that she understands what happens when she doesn't, which is exactly this scene with Yennefer that is referred. A moment that she could have seized power and she didn't, and she regrets it. And this scene shows it all very well. But I think there's another character's relationship with power that's shown in an even more interesting way. You see, one thing is a character valuing their power. Another thing is a character valuing power. It happens outside fiction all the time. If you just pay attention, you'll find plenty of examples. Sometimes poor people are against taxing great fortunes because these people value great fortunes, even if they don't have one. Sometimes straight people support gay marriage. This is not because they want to marry somebody from the same sex. This is because they value gay marriage in itself. Implicitly, these people believe that society at large is better with the existence of great fortunes or gay marriage or whatever they believe. The examples here are infinite. With that in mind, let's talk about Yennefer. In that same episode, Yennefer, who used to be an incredible mage, is stripped from her personal power, and she's guiding this young lady, Ciri, with spectacular talent for magic. One might imagine that Yennefer would be resentful of the girl, but this is not what we see. There was a monolith there, the blackest stellacite, said Ciri. A dark fissure, wide as a carriage, cut the landscape ahead of them in two. Though some bushes dared approach the terrain's scar, the nearby forest didn't take over. Years had gone by, and the land had never fully healed, ravaged by what had to be chaos. or something worse? What happened to it? Asked Yennefer. Ciri paused. Me. Yennefer stared back at the girl. Of course she had talent, but this was different. This was magic like it was never seen before. Just to make sure, the mage asked again, You did that? The girl didn't answer. She tried to respond to Yennefer's gaze, but her courage faltered. Ciri, promise me something. If we get separated. Now the girl found the strength to look back, worry in her eyes. Remember what you have. Magic, said Yennefer, tasting the last word on her lips. It's lodged in you, like a spiked arrow. It wounds you, deeply, but it's a strange sort of pain, combined with, she paused, bliss. As Yennefer's voice trembled, Ciri frowned. Trust me, continued the mage in a whisper. It's all you'll ever need. It's everything. Here we see Yennefer showing her true colors. She values power itself, even if it's not hers. Both Yennefer and Fringilla come from the same power-hungry academy of magic, and those values have been drilled into them since a very young age. And of course, this creates a lot of narrative opportunities, like the opportunities the characters have to find out if there's anything they value more than magic, than power, or the opportunity to see where would they go to actually honor this value they give for power. How far would they go? Let's draw inspiration from The Witcher. Let's talk about how power feels. Very simple exercise today, folks. 2 easy ones in a row. Who am I? Next time I'm going to destroy you. But today's easy. Today's alright. We need a character and a power. If you're a fantasy writer, I will encourage you to treat this power here as magic. I just wanted to keep the word vague because, some people are more into sci-fi or other things, and I wanted this exercise to be relevant for them as well. You don't need to explore those 2 ideas really deeply. Just a basic idea of a character and the fundamentals of this magic system would suffice. If you're already working on a character and or a magic system, this exercise here today is actually a really good opportunity for you to flesh out some useful lore around the things that you're already thinking about. Because we're gonna write a scene in which this relationship between character and power becomes evident. Please don't be too explicit. If you just create a scene in which a character says, power makes me feel sad, then you're missing the biggest learning opportunity here. We're looking for poetics. We're testing poetics. What combination of ideas will convey rather than tell? Convey the sensation we want to transmit. And with that, we go to the last part of the video, which is my take on this exercise. And I invite you to also leave your paragraph, your character, your magic system in the comments below. I love reading those comments. It really makes my day. So, let's make some magic. Today I'm full of little experiments in this channel. Feeling experimental. So let's change the order we normally do things. I'm gonna first give you the scene, and then later on I'll tell you my intentions with the scene, and hey, you tell me if it worked. My compatriots didn't know if it was safe to progress, so the march had to stop as they hurriedly fetched me for an inspection. What nonsense, I first thought. They should know better by now. As I approached the front of the line, I changed my mind. The field ahead was blood red as far as the eye could see, the vegetation crumbling into rust powder. Scattered around the landscape were ruby-like magic pillars, tall as houses, each containing 1 or 2 people inside. 1 or 2 corpses. Their poses had frozen in their last living seconds, and their skin was grey and dry in a wormless death. One was a tall man, arms up, probably shouting something when the spell was cast. His arms, now thin as sticks, were stuck mid-action. I knew how this magic worked. I knew these people hadn't died immediately, but were buried alive in hard stone. With some luck, they asphyxiated quickly enough. A woman, mother or sister, hard to say, with the features so distorted, holding a child by the hand. Was it a boy or a girl? At this point, just a lump of dark flesh. I couldn't help but picture them trying to scream, yet only managing to groan to themselves, jaws clenched by the crystal. My legs trembled. The Archgeneral came to my side. If I thought he would ask me about security measures, his cold tone made it clear that he had something else in mind. "Your people did this," he whispered to me. A sudden chill ran up my spine. Wrath took over my face and my thoughts and my guts. I turned, not to him, but to the terrified frontliners behind us. "My people did this. My people. This is what the Magi are capable of. This is why you must kill us. Kill us all, including me," I shouted. The Archgeneral took an uncertain step away from me, but I carried on. "Nothing but death. Nothing but death can pay for this." He took yet another step back as I turned to him and looked him right in the eye. Scarlet lines, the same color as the pillars ahead of us, already covered half my vision. "Yes," I whispered between my teeth. "My people did this, sir." My 2 biggest references here were a 1990s anime called Saint Seiya and also Pixar's Inside Out. I'll come back to that. We don't know much about this character, we don't know much about this magic system, but hopefully I conveyed how this character feels about magic. He's a magic user among people who hate magic, so we could imagine that this might create some resentment, just like with Yennefer and Ciri. But truth is that our magic user loathes magic even more than his non-magical compatriots. He understands the spells much better. He can't help but to see the torturous details that other people might not know. With his self-deprecating speech, I was trying to convey a sort of a mixture between anger and disgust. Remember what I said about Inside Out? There you have it. And I wanted a scene kind of like Yennefer's, a character talking about power in general, not his own power. We don't see this guy casting any spells. I think there's an interesting trope here. The forces that are trying to prevent destruction, they really benefit from having a destruction specialist among them. But it's a strange position to occupy, right? Right? Also, with some luck, this red color associated with spellcasting and anger might create an interesting magic aesthetic. I hope I succeeded. I hope you enjoyed it. With that, I leave you for today. Thank you very much for your attention. Again, folks, please, can you please subscribe? I really wanted to reach 4,000. It's been months. It's been 3 months and I just can't do it. A special thank you to my patrons who are incredibly generous, funding this tiny channel, this tiny project. I'm so humbled by your support. Thank you so much. And I'll see you next time, folks. Next video. Ciao.